One of the reasons that I still enjoy playing Warframe today is because of all the cool, quirky, gimmicky, and spacey futuristic weapons. And today, my friends, we're gonna take a look at a spear gun, one of the rarest weapon types in Warframe. As always, my name is Laser, and I'm gonna take you through a couple of builds. Something cheap, something affordable that most should be able to build, but of course we also got a souped up setup with a Riven. That said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually take a new player friendly approach, so I'm going to be taking my time and explaining whatever I feel is necessary for newer players. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Scourge. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that, just a couple of free shots. The Scourge is a very difficult weapon to explain, but I'll try my best. First of all, it has two fire modes. In primary fire mode, nothing special. This is a projectile based attack, so you do have travel time. These projectiles, upon contact with a surface or an enemy, will be detonating in a 1.7 meter radius. All well and good. In secondary fire mode, you're gonna be launching your Scourge like so. Take a look at that. And it did an AoE. As soon as it touches the ground, it's gonna do a knockback on all nearby enemies. But not only that, it applies a bullet attractor. You see that debuff upon enemies' heads? That's a bullet attractor. So basically, the way that the developer fought this one, this is Harrow's signature weapon, right? So you use the Scourge to put the bullet attractor on, then you finish him off with your secondary weapon, the Knell. Considering the mechanics of the Knell, those two synergize beautifully together. But that's not all. There are two ways to use the secondary fire mode. You can quick shot, like so. Take a look at the punch through. It went through everybody, essentially, but I'm not getting the bullet attractor because it's not in range of my target. In any case, there's one more way to fire the secondary fire mode. You can charge it up. Take a look at my crosshairs, really good. But if you do that, there's no more punch through. It's stuck into this thing. Well, into this corrupted heavy goon. And for the life of me, I didn't find any explanation as to why. Not on the wiki, not essentially anywhere. You might think that, hey, if you charge the weapon like that, it does more damage or the range is bigger. Apparently the range seems to be larger, but it doesn't deal more damage, at least not according to the stat screen. It deals the same amount of damage. So, you see the mechanics of this weapon are a little bit on the fuzzy side, so bear that one in mind. Hopefully, I didn't miss anything. Oh, of course I missed something. Take a look at my ammo. It goes down to, let's say, 30. If I deploy the weapon, let's say you lose it, don't worry. Even if you do lose, the weapon is going to come back to you after a couple of seconds. So I throw it into the abyss. It's going to start reloading at a rate of 33% of the magazine capacity per second while deployed or holstered. You see that? My ammo now is back in the magazine. And I think that's pretty much everything. I like weapons like this. Quirky, kooky. I just wish the info on the mechanics would be a bit more clearer. And you thought that was fuzzy? Hold on, we got more. Let's hop into the weapon's stats to see exactly what we're dealing with. Mount capacity, of course, 60 out of 60. If your Scourge comes with only 30 out of 30, and it should, jump into actions and plug in the Auto King Catalyst. You can pay 20 plat to have one installed. You can grind one from Nightwave. You can get a blueprint from the Daily Sortie. Is it worth it? Only if you like quirky, gimmicky, and subjectively cool weapons, because it's a spear gun. It's one of 3 spear guns, I think 3 or 4 spear guns in Warframe. There's the Ferox, the Scourge, the Javelok, and I think there's one more, but I might be mistaken. So if you want something different, something cool, subjectively, again, definitely go for this one. If not, then stay away from it. My weapon has been formatted a total of 7 times, but for the weapon build I'm recommending you guys, 3 formats should be enough. The reason why mine is format 7 times, there was a big difference between the build in 2018 that I did for this one and today 2021. The weapon Excellus mod slot I would unlock simply because you get to use terminal velocity, which will make aiming easier. Basically, terminal velocity on any projectile based attack makes everything easier. Speaking about easier, accuracy 100 on this one. Now we're gonna traverse the whole stat page really quickly. Critical chance on this weapon is garbage. Simply put, garbage. 2% with a 1.5x. It's terrible. Even for Harrow, this being Harrow's weapon, that 1.5x critical multiplier is way below average. Critical chance on this weapon is definitely not a very good idea. Let's see, fire rate of 2.67, that's solid. Magazine of 40, alarming. Reload of 2.5 seconds, but again, you can like chuck it out and it's gonna start reloading by itself. Riven Dispo is high at 4 out of 5, simply because this is not a very played weapon. And status chance is 30%, which is again pretty good. And this applies to the projectile, okay? This is the projectile. This is the damage it deals, 70 corrosive damage by default, which is beautiful. And this is the radial attack, all right, with a fall off of 30%, 1.7 meter range, also corrosive damage. Now here's where things get a little bit kooky. You got the thrown, you got the charge damage, you got the charge radial attack, you got the quick shot damage, and the quick shot radial attack. What you need to know that this just applies to the spear being thrown out, okay? So if you quick shot it or if you charge it, the damage, according to the stat page, remains the same. Fall off 60%, fall off 60%. Damage 55, damage. You see where I'm going with this one? It's a little bit on the kooky side, but honestly, the secondary fire mode of the Nell doesn't really carry a whole lot of water. There's very little reason to actually use it unless you want to try off to play off some cool combinations with the Nell. Again, Harrow's secondary weapon. In that case, the bullet attractor is gonna work wonders for you. So bear that one in mind. Now some of you might say, dude, this is a high status chance weapon, right? And it's got a lot of impact. It's got a lot of impact and therefore internal bleeding. Let's clear up internal bleeding. No internal bleeding because it's on the secondary fire mode. It's on the spear being thrown out. It's not practical or usable to keep throwing that bloody spear out for consistent amounts of damage. So no internal bleeding, as the primary fire mode does not do any impact whatsoever. Now what I want to do is show you quickly heavy caliber on this weapon with a bit of multi-shot, because not having any critical chance on it needs us to scramble for other options, right? So heavy caliber would definitely be a good idea, but the problem is, look at that. I can't even consistently hit that pillar anymore because of the negative accuracy penalty from heavy caliber. So I wouldn't necessarily advise it. Another thing that changed for the Scourge from 2018 till today, I'm not sure when exactly, but the orientation of that disc. It used to be vertical. Yeah, now it's horizontal. And by the way, if the Scourge looks kooky to you, I'm using a skin on it. This is the default view on the Scourge. Alright, it's definitely not a bad looking weapon, but of course I prefer that skins. And again, you see that the disc is aligned differently now. It used to be vertical, now being horizontal. That's pretty much it for the stats and the functionality of the weapon. If there's anything I missed, or you guys got something to complete the information, by all means, or if you found something during testings, let me know in the comment section down below. But in the meantime, let's have a look at what looks to be a standard build. And of course, damage acceleration, multi-shot with split chamber and vigilante armaments. No critical chance, no critical damage. Instead, we're gonna have 3 60-60 mods, malignant force, prime rounds, and thermite rounds. Now, essentially, what I did on this weapon, I'm taking advantage of the fact that it has base corrosive, and I'm making viral and heat. This is one of the few weapons where you can have the trio, viral, corrosive, and heat, which is absolutely insane. This is a route you can go. You can also pump up the value of the corrosive with 90 mods if you so desire. Not having a whole lot of options at this point, you might say something like, dude, why don't you go with punch through and shred? That would be a good idea. I'm glad you asked. Look at the... I'm just gonna put on punch through, okay, with metal auger, because I want to show you how it actually functions on this weapon. You might consider that the main projectile is gonna go through multiple targets, right, and generate additional explosions, but unfortunately, look at that. It goes through the target, no explosion. Look, no explosion whatsoever. It just goes through the target. So basically, it's not really worth putting punch through on this weapon. So bear that one in mind. No shred. If you want to go down the route of fire rate, and by all intents and purposes, it's not like you have a million options. Go down through the rate of fire rate. Go with vial acceleration and 90% fire rate at the cost of 15% damage. That minus 15% is being taken away from your serration. If you don't know how to farm corrupted mods, you gotta. There are some fantastic mods like vial acceleration, like heavy caliber, like fleeting expertise, and so on and so forth. Link in the cards right now. Full, detailed, easy mode guide on how to farm corrupted mods. And rifle aptitude. Now, after the rework, I encourage the use of, what's it called? It was a meme mod. You remember the meme? Hammer shot meme mod. But the problem is, in this case, that critical damage really doesn't do me any good. There's a very small difference here. Only 10% status chance extra for rifle aptitude. But if the critical damage is worthless, then yeah, rifle aptitude. Now allow me to show you performance with a setup such as this, just to make sure. Oh, corrosive projection, major no-no. We're gonna switch to an empty build on my lovely Wisp. Level 120, Corrupted Heavy Goons, and let's check out the performance of the weapon. Now, of course, again, you can use the bullet attractor if you want to. You can prep them like that, but I don't think it's really worth it. Look at this. Listen to the sound of this weapon. Beautiful, absolutely bloody, fantastic. You get the AoE damage there, plenty of procs from all sides. You get the vital, you get the corrosive, you get the heat. And again, you can drop the vital. If you're tired of vital, you can just pump up the corrosive even further, or adapt the elemental combo depending on your situation. It used to be that we really needed to adapt the elemental combination depending on the mission that we were going to, depending on the enemies there. Unfortunately, it's basically vital slash when it comes to primaries. Melee weapons essentially have the same build, kind of all of them, and there's very little difference between the top tier melee weapons, which are there a lot, and secondary weapons are kind of left hanging. Thankfully, or hopefully better said, we're gonna get some changes to the damage system soon, especially to ranged weapons. From my humble point of view, that is pretty good performance, and again, take this build as a suggestion. I am not super comfortable recommending weapons that are fuzzy on the mechanic side of things, but perhaps you're like me. Perhaps you enjoy weapons which aren't as bland as everything else. Perhaps you had enough of the assault rifle affair in a spacey futuristic game and you just want something different, something cool. Then look no further than Spearguns, starting with Harrow's primary, the Scourge. Let's talk about Riven mods. Now, this is the best I could get. From my humble point of view, an ideal Riven for a weapon such as this would involve multi-shot, definitely, damage and a harmless negative. So I got damage, multi-shot and crit chance with a harmless negative, which is definitely not ideal. Critical chance really does not help me, and the other option is this one, damage multi but minus status chance. Before, believe it or not, the minus status chance used to help, because before the mainline changes of 2020 when they screwed up damage and everything, you could overstrip. You could get your weapons to overstrip, and when you overstrip, your corrosive would have lost the damage bonus, that 75% extra, right? So you had to be careful, balance out your builds, go for body shots, headshots, depending on the situation, you know? It was cool, and now it's gone. So there you go. Believe it or not, this Riven actually helped the Scourge not to overstrip and maintain its punch. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. You can watch my 2018 guide on it. And now it's gone. But anyway, enough about that. Level 120, Corrupted Heavy Goons with a Riven. Riven this both 4 out of 5, my friends, so it definitely makes a difference. Take a look. And this is not even that great roll. Let's be honest, it could have been more damage and more multi-shot on that Riven if I didn't have that crit chance. Because make no mistake, if you're getting a triple positive with a negative, you're gonna have a lower amount of stats. Yeah, so I could have had more damage and more multi, but come on. Come on, I just chopped them to bits. I didn't even use bullet attractor, bullet anything. You know, this is cool as an idea, but I think Warframe got to be too much of a quick game to go for mechanics such as this, unless you're going about it super slow. And by all intents and purposes, there are plenty of players in Warframe who enjoy taking it slow, especially solo players. So hats off to them. Now, my friends, it's time to talk about Warframe buffs, and for that we can use Harrow and get some crit. I guess it would be kind of a not cool move to not use Lord Harrow with his signature weapon, right? Okay, so we're gonna go Harrow, get that crit. Oh, this is my Necromancer Harrow fashion, and of course, oh yeah, this is gonna be good. Now, unfortunately, this stance doesn't really work for him. Here's a cool stance. I know this has nothing to do with the build guide, but if you want to look really cool while standing still with a spear gun, do this. Go for Nidus. Check out this animation. Wait, damn it. With Nidus Noble. Use the Nidus Noble animation. Like so. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, boy. Check that out, man. How cool. Oh, come on, man. That looks so bloody cool. Corrosive projection, of course, against Grenier or heavily armored targets. You can also use Coaction Drift to pump up the value of any aura. When it comes to Arcanes, should I go for Arcane Avenger considering I go with Harrow? Yes, definitely, because I'm going to get 200% on Headshot from Harrow, plus this 45%. And besides, you can never really have too much critical chance in the sense that there's an infinite number of crit tiers. I know it goes yellow, orange, and then red, 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 because I don't know, they didn't want to use more colors, but it does go forward. And no, purple damage is not another tier of crit. Purple damage is damage on overshields, my friends. Arcane Rage has a second one. Both of these arcanes can be farmed from the Fertile on down on Cetos-san. Headshot 50% chance for an plus 180% damage to primary weapons for 34 seconds with Harrow. This being a primary weapon, there's also worth in using a Sentinel. Any Sentinel you prefer, my friends, it doesn't really matter all that much. Just make sure that on that Sentinel's weapon, you have the Vigilante mods, armaments, fervor, supplies, and offense to get that 20% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. Even if your little Sentinel dies, man, I love this, and never comes back to life, you will still retain that buff. So we're gonna do this. Pump up the level as high as I can, 155. Unpause the eyes, so they can hit me, and I can get me glorious buffs, and it's time. I waited for this one for such a long time. Wait, this is wrong! Activate Harrow's fourth ability to get my critical chance on, but damn it, I'm sorry. I forgot to do one thing. If I know that I'm gonna be getting critical chance from Harrow, then it's worth dropping Vile Vigilante armaments in this case and going for more critical damage. When it comes to critical damage, of course, as per usual, you can use something simple like Vital Sense with 120%. You know you're going to be getting crit chance from Harrow, but then also another solution would be to go for something like Hammer Shot. That's also going to be helping you. It's really up to you, but this only really applies to Warframe buff, so bear that one in mind. So what was I saying? Yes, I was apologizing. Here we go! Activates Harrow 4th ability, Covenant. Help everybody in your team. Nobody notices that they're invulnerable and they're being saved. They didn't die when they were supposed to, and you'll get no thanks. Your second ability, however, fire rate and reload speed. Farm Harrow. I know it's a pain. Trust me, I know it's a pain to farm Harrow, but he's 100% worth it. One of my top 3 Warframes in, well, Warframe. How cool is that? Tell me, my friends, how cool is that? How much do you love that? It's a fantastic experience, and it's not just because of that bloody damage. You can get damage in Warframe from so many different sources, in so many different ways. It's not what's important. What is important is the feel, it's the look, it's how much of a badass this weapon makes me feel in comparison to other weapons which don't. How it sounds, how it looks. This is beautiful. And I 100% love it. My friends, the Scourge may not be one of the most powerful weapons in Warframe. It's not. But it's subjectively one of the coolest. It gets my stamp of approval, and I 100% recommend it. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And if you got any sorts of feedback for me or would like to suggest any type of content, again, in the comment section down below. Now, in all honesty, I can't exactly promise you that it'll be done by next time or even within a week, because sometimes these things take a while to make, but what I can promise you is that I will be reading through each and every comment. Oh, you can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content and you want to help me keep making it, consider supporting us via Patreon. Link in the cards right now. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.